Okay, recording is in process. So we have gotten started. And Amanda, I've got you on as a co-pilot. And let me just do. And just getting the PowerPoint set up here. All right. Gonna do share screen, just audio. Okay, Amanda, can you verify that the title slide is up?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. So again, we are recording. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chad Ellis Boykin. I'm Assistant General Counsel for IDS Financial Services. Today is the final 5-county rollout of the new payment system. It's called OASIS. That stands for Online Attorney State Invoice System. That payment system is now statewide as of today. A couple of quick housekeeping matters for those of you who are just joining us. If you are here live in the WebEx and you're an attorney, we do have a credit from the state bar for a 1-hour technology credit. So for any attorney who's on the call, to get that credit, just put your name and your bar number in the chat. And Amanda, who's our communications specialist, she will get that info to the bar for you. Unfortunately, if your information is not in the chat when the session ends, unfortunately, we can't retroactively add you afterwards. So go ahead and get your info in the chat. Now we'll do one more reminder at the end to make sure we catch everybody. Next, we are recording this session, so please let any of your colleagues know if they were unable to attend today that the recording and all the other materials will be available to them. So nobody's left out. It's a big benefit that you're able to be here. We appreciate your being here, but please reach out to your colleagues and let them know this session can be viewed. We'll be emailing it out to everybody on the list. And everything we cover here today will also be provided in an email that will go out right after the session. It's going to include how-to guides. It's going to include a link to a training video and a final online training where you'll be able to get login access to the payment system. So it's good to jot things down as you go, but really we just want you to pay attention and soak it in. You'll have reference guides. It's like when you had those outlines in law school that people gave you, it lets you relax and just pay attention to the material. Lastly, we will have time for Q&A at the end of the training, so feel free to put questions in the chat as you go, and we'll get to those questions at the end, or just jot them down and we'll have a live Q&A at the end. So the process of seeking payment is simple and effective, and it's more effective than any system that IDS has ever had before, whether that's paper or e-courts. But the system does require you to do 2 very specific things that we're going to cover today. If you do those 2 specific things, you will get paid more quickly than you've ever been able to get paid before. You'll have a tracking system, but it's very specific, so it's important that you learn how to do it. So the benefits of this payment system, OASIS allows IDS to do some things we've never been able to do before. We're now able to pay you within 30 days of your first submitting a request for payment. You no longer have to wait for the clerk, for the judge, for the post office, or for the correct use of the Enterprise Justice Task Queue. None of that gets in your way of getting paid anymore. Prior to OASIS, we might have received your FIAP in a week, we might have received it in 6 months, or we might have never received it. But now the control is in your hands. When the OASIS steps are done correctly, you get paid within 30 days of your first submitting for payment, right? So there's also a built-in verification system where you can verify that you successfully requested payment using the 2 steps. We'll detail how to do that later, and it's also available online, but you'll always be able to check to make sure you did the 2 steps right. OASIS is the sole means of payment for non-capital adult criminal cases at the trial level. We'll detail that a little more in a minute, but it's important to note, and I think Amanda will probably throw this in the chat, the last day to submit a FIAP without using the OASIS system is December 29, 2025. So that's about 2 or 3 weeks from now. That gives everybody time to get their credentials, learn how to use the system, and start using it. So basically, if you do a FIAP the sort of way you're doing it now, you've got up until December 25 to do that, and for those to be able to get processed. Anything submitted outside the OASIS process after December 29 is not going to get to us. So it's really important that we get this information out there. Last thing, we're working to add more case types into OASIS in 2026 and 2027. We'll announce that out via email and on the website once those other case types are available. But for right now, it's adult criminal cases at the trial level. What does that mean? Really quickly, cases that use the AOC CR225 FIAP and have a CR file number or an R file number, those are the things that can go in OASIS. If you are looking at attorney for the day or what's sometimes called session courts, that is not available, and there's some reasons for that. But basically, if you've got a specific file number and that FIAP is a CR225, that's what goes in OASIS. So if you're doing other case types, those are just done the other way, the outside of OASIS way. So this chart, which is available on our main website, gives you the detail of that. An adult criminal case at the trial.
Can't even use this system anyway.
All right, let's make sure everybody's muted. So, okay. So adult criminal cases at the trial level are covered. Juvenile delinquency is not yet covered. We are working on juvenile delinquency cases. We're aiming for 2026. Again, we'll announce that when it happens. But if you have a juvenile delinquency case that is transferred to Superior Court and it gets that CR file number, then you would be able to file that into OASIS. But at the juvenile court level, or stage, that is outside of that process. Same for parent defense, competency matters, involuntary commitments, GALs, and special proceedings. All those are just filing your FIAP the way you're doing it now. Same thing for session court, like Veterans Court, JMARC, or Drug Treatment Court. Capital or anything appointed through the capital defender's office, even if it doesn't proceed capitally, and appellate cases, those FIAPs go directly to IDS. There's a whole separate process for that. That is outside of the OASIS system too. So this chart you can reference anytime. Right now it's adult criminal at the trial level. And this details those sort of exceptions. So OASIS is a 2-step process. And this is that process. It's vital to do these 2 steps in order. Step 1 is that you're going to file the FIAP in eCourts with the clerk using file and serve. You're already doing that, but what you're doing now most likely is you're just doing e-file only. What you're going to do instead for everything you're filing through OASIS is you're going to use e-file and serve. That's really important. E-file and serve, not e-file and not serve only, just e-file and serve, and always e-file and serve. You have to file and serve the FIAP on IDS, and file and serve, that button in the middle allows you to do that. You're going to serve the FIAP on OASIS at nccourts.org. That is an inbox where all the FIAPs go, and the OASIS system automatically matches and verifies that there's a matching FIAP there. And there's also a process of audit, but that is step 1. So basically, it's just a change to what you're doing now. Right now, you're doing e-file only. You're just going to change that to e-file and serve. There's also PDFs and a training video that are going to be provided right after this session. And this is a quick look at that. This is going to be in your email. It is a step-by-step guide that AOC helped us with that tells you exactly how to do e-file and serve and how to set up that service contact so you can be efficient. And once you set up that service contact, of OASIS at nccourts.org. You only do that once, then it becomes easier every other time you do the e-file and serve. So this will be in your inbox, and also this will be in your inbox. This is the guide to adding OASIS as a service contact. All you're doing is you're telling eCourts that you are serving this email address, oasis at nccourts.org. Really important to make sure it's spelled correctly, because if OASIS at nccourts is not spelled correctly, that fiat could go into a black hole. So just be careful when you're doing that. Follow these step-by-step instructions, and you'll be in business for getting that step one, file and serve, completed. So that's step one, file and e-file and serve that fiat. Step two is the OASIS invoice. This is the new part. This is the electronic invoicing system itself. It's located at idsbilling.org, and this is the part that we're going to go over in detail today. So step two is the standalone website. Immediately after you submit your fiat, you will submit your OASIS invoice with that matching information. It doesn't have as much information as the fiat does. It's just the information that we need to pay you, and it's connected to your NCFS account or your state payment system account, which means it makes your payments incredibly fast because your OASIS account is connected to that NCFS account. So we're going to detail soon how to do this. You want to do both of these steps together, back to back. Best thing to do is fill out your invoice as you're drafting your fiat. Once they're both complete, go ahead and submit that fiat using e-file and serve, and then hit send on that invoice. And you want to do them back to back and together at the same time. You don't want to wait and do it separately for several reasons. So really quickly, this is a reminder. I've hammered this a lot already, but before we do the demo, it's of such vital importance that we remind you about e-file and serve. When you're serving that fiat in eCourts, it's e-file and serve. It's the button in the middle right here, okay? If anybody saw the old movie Rocky, Rocky gets hit in the head a bunch in a fight, and he asks his trainer, he says, I'm seeing triple, there's 3 of them, what do I do? And his trainer says, hit the one in the middle. That's what I want you to do. Hit the one in the middle right here, this button, e-file and serve. If you do either of these other 2 things, you won't get paid. You'll have to redo everything. It's going to be a headache for you. We don't want you to have to go through that. So we got this extra slide here, e-file and serve. That's the key. Okay, so now we're ready to do the demonstration, and that is the OASIS invoice itself. So I'm going to just pull up my web browser. So what I've got here, again, OASIS, the website is idsbilling.org. Again, all this will be in your email. I'm going to have this pulled up. I'm going to next have my fiat pulled up, so that, again, you want to draft your fiat, or at least the parts of it that go into OASIS, as you do your OASIS invoice, because it'll make sure 2 things. One, OASIS does the math for you. We all went to law school to avoid doing math. OASIS does the math for you. It applies the right amount. It applies the right reimbursement amounts and everything. Also, it will make sure if you do these together that this amount here, this total amount claimed down here in section 2, is the same as what you're invoicing in OASIS. That's a key, because we can only pay the matching amount. Now, we do have a de minimis rule. If it's off by a quarter or $1 or a tiny amount, that's fine. That's not going to be fatal. But if there's anything over like $5, then it's a rejection, because we have to pay the same amount that you're providing to the court for payment. Next, I'm going to have this. This is the e-file, eCourts file and serve window. I just have this open as a demonstration. If you're doing this, having all 3 open at the same time is the best practice. This allows you to make sure everything matches, and then when you're ready to e-file, you can just click your button here and upload your fiat and do all this at the same time. So the demo is the OASIS website. Here we are. What's going to happen is you're going to get credentials for this. As soon as we're done with this training, you'll get a link to a 20-minute training that will get you the credentials. So you'll have credentials. This is just a reminder that these are the case types that are billed in OASIS. If you don't have credentials, or if you have colleagues that are new and they find their way here, they would click here just to get access to the credentials. You're already going to have that because we're going to email it to you after today. But this is the information here. For more information about OASIS, click here. This takes you to our main website. This is that credentials button. This is a link to an FAQ that's got a ton of important information, the rollout schedule. So this is an important resource too that we'll look at later. If you forgot your password, no problem. You've got a lost your password link that you can click that will get you a reset, a password reset, just like most any other website that you're dealing with. So I'm going to click login, and these are my credentials. It'll save them for you once you get that set up. When you hit login, it's going to ask you for a two-factor email code. This is going to get emailed to the account that you set up OASIS with, which is the one you're going to use when you do your training. So what happens there is I go to my email, and here is the email that just happened, right? 12/16. It sent me my login code. We have to do this for judicial branch security. It was a requirement for us to be able to build this for you. So all I do is double click, right click, copy that code, get right back to the website, right click, paste it in, submit code. Once I submit the code, I'm in. Okay. Instructions page here if you need a refresher on how to use the system. Policies here, we'll talk about that a little later. This is the money. This is go to invoice form. If you need to leave and go away, here's your logout. These are the people to contact if you have a question about the website or using it. It's this fellow here, Joe Oder. He's in the research direction. If you have a division, if you have a policy question, this has a link to my email. And if you have questions about payments, or if your payee information has changed, you've changed firms, you've changed names, you'd email Shannon Simmons or give her a call. But 99% of the time, what you're going to be doing is going to invoice form. So what this is going to do first is ask me, and this is all important every time, has my tax ID number changed? Has my business address changed? Has my law firm or business name changed? Has my email address changed? Personal name changed? Any of this affects payments. If nothing has changed, you click no. If something has changed, it'll give you instructions on what to do, right? Substitute W-9 or a W-9 update form. Everything's built in for you. If there's no changes, then you go next to the billing policy. This is very similar to what's on the fee app. I attest that this is true and correct. These are my hours. There's some stuff we're going to talk about later. We are going to be paying you in some cases before the judge ever signs your fee app. It guarantees you quick payment. That's the whole point. However, if the judge reduces your fee app, then the judge will notify us and we will have to message you to get back any overpayment or any difference between what the judge actually approved on the fee app and what we paid based on what was on the fee app when it went to the judge and when it went to us. That's very rare. Less rare is you're in open court and you tell the judge your hours and the judge says, well, I'm only going to allow an hour less than what you're claiming. You draft your fee app for what the judge authorized, then there's no difference, no overpayment. That's more common. But if the judge actually reduces what's on your fee app, that is where there's a difference and there might be an overpayment. So you click that you understand the policies, which are linked right here if you need to review them. Last question is, are any of these cases, were they appointed to you through the Office of Capital Defender or appellate? If these are capital cases, potentially capital or appellate, they go straight to IDS, and this will tell you how to do it. If you click yes, these were capital or appellate, this is how you submit for those cases. Don't do it here. It tells you exactly what to do based on those cases here. If no, then we are ready to invoice. Now, the reason there's more choices here is 94% of counties all follow the hourly fee structure. There are 4 counties that follow a pilot flat fee structure, and then Cabarrus and Rowan have their own pre-existing flat fee structure for district court. So there has to be a unique process for each one because the rates are different and the rules are different. So that's why there's a little bit extra here now to accommodate all the counties. So you can select all these at once. If you work in multiple jurisdictions and you've got a case in every county, you can do Cabarrus, Rowan, one of the flat fee pilots, or the hourly counties, which is the 94%. What'll happen is you'll have an invoice that'll pop up for each. Cabarrus is here, Rowan is here, 4 pilot counties are here. Most people will be here in the standard fee app. This is the hourly one. You can also take it away if you're only doing Cabarrus and Rowan. Here you go. So each invoice is built for that county's rules, rates, and policies. So let's just pick that we're going to be doing one of these 4 pilots today. When I'm ready to add my fee application, I just click add fee application. It takes me here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that I've got my fee app mostly filled out with the name of the client and all of this stuff, and I'm going to have the window open. When you select the county, you know, in eCourts, it's the full file number and the dash and the county code. This does that for you. When you select your county, let's say Davidson, it's going to apply that 3-digit code to the file number. So you don't have to worry about that. You just pick your county, it'll do it for you. Case year, this is the year of the case. So if you have a case that is 25CR12345, you'll pick 25. This is that prefix number. Next is the case type. Is it an adult criminal case, which is a CR, or is it an R file, which is the post-release parole board hearings and stuff like that? This is not that common. This is very common. So we'll just go with CR. Now my sequence number is the file number itself. So you've got your 25 already. You've got your county code that'll be built in. This is just the 6-digit case number. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? This will build it for you. So when you answer these questions, you're basically putting in that file number. Next question, if you're in one of these flat fee counties, you've got district court or superior court or R file. R file is neither. That happens in front of like a parole board and the clerk signs the fee out. Let's say it's a district court flat fee case. Next question is this exceptional pay? Flat fee is a set amount for regardless of how many hours you work, but in rare cases, you have a case that takes forever. It's hours and hours and hours. If the judge approves an exceptional pay, which is getting paid hourly because it was an exceptional case that required exceptional work, then you would just say yes or no. If you say no, then it's going to apply the flat fee. If you say yes, then it's going to give you a different set of questions based on an exceptional pay request. So let's say that this is exceptional pay. It's rare, but we're going to go with that one. It's next going to ask you whether this is an interim or a final fee app. An interim would be if you withdrew from a case, or if it's an exceptionally long case that's going to last more than, you know, a year or two, and you're getting payment for work done for a substantial amount of work. Like I've worked a year, or I've worked 60 or 70 or 80 hours, and I'm doing an interim payment. Most of the time, it'll be a final fee app. So if it's a final fee app, the next question is disposition date. What is the case? This case was finally disposed. If you selected interim, did you withdraw or not? If you withdrew, then the case is still ongoing and there is no disposition. If you did not withdraw, then it's last day worked. What is the last day that you did work on this case? So we're going to go with the final fee app. We're going to assume this has been finally disposed. Let's say this was disposed on 11/18, 2025. So that's within the time frame. That's within the deadline. If I were to choose 2019, it's going to tell you this is outside of the 1-year deadline. And there's a waiver process that you'll do separately. We're building that waiver process into OASIS, so you'll be able to do it electronically. That is being built now, but in the meantime, you would just go through the normal waiver process that exists now. But again, we're going to assume that this is within the deadline. It's a final fee. Was client convicted or parole revoked? Was there a conviction if this was a criminal case, or if this is an R file, was parole revoked? Did the client prevail? Yes or no? So if we say yes, the reason this is important in here is because of recoupment, the statutory requirement that the judge make a decision on whether the client has to repay the state for the amount paid for the attorney fees. So that's why this is here. Next, you just select the highest original charge. Let's say this was a Class H felony, right? Mid-level felony. Now all I'm doing is entering the actual hours worked. This is what I'm claiming as the time worked. Let's say I spent 1 hour in court, 1 hour waiting for that case to be heard, and 2 hours out of court. Unlikely with an exceptional pay that this would rise to that level, because this is within the sort of normal time frame, but we're just doing this as a hypothetical. Now, this is relatively new. There are policy changes happening in 2026. Emails went out about that. One of those policy changes is that now you no longer have to pay out of pocket if you are in a jurisdiction where you have to go get copies made for your case. And you pay for those copies at Staples, and Staples charges 20 cents for a copy. the old rule was that the reimbursement was 10 cents regardless of how much you paid. Now if you paid out of pocket for a vendor, what you'll do is just you keep your receipt and you'll enter the amount you paid for copies in the other expenses box. We will reimburse you for that full amount because you shouldn't have to come out of pocket just because you can't get copies made for the amount that's authorized. Now, if you use your own copier, you work in a firm, the firm's got a big Xerox machine, then you use these copy boxes. This applies that original 10-cent reimbursement rate, or 16 cents if it's double-sided copies. So if you use your own copier, you tell us how many copies you made, and you have the 10-cent reimbursement. If you paid and you have a receipt because you don't have a copier, that's when you'll use other expenses and we'll pay you the full amount. So to reflect that on the fee app, same thing. Copies, you'll put the number of copies here, but if you paid and went to Kinko's or something, put it in here in other receipts and you'll attach the receipts. It's just like any other expense now. That makes sure that you get paid that full amount for copies. Next up, let's just go, use your own copy. I'm going to say 0, but this was just for example. And with e-courts now, with everything being digital, copies are less and less, but they still sometimes are required. Out of county mileage, there is a policy here that starts in 2026, 4 cases that were appointed in 2026. I'm just going to say I had to go 10 miles, let's say 20 miles. The original rule was any out of county travel. If you were appointed to a case outside of the county you worked in, outside of the county of your office, we covered mileage. Budget reasons, the mileage rule has changed and it's a little bit different now. So there's an attestation here. If you're entering mileage on your invoice, which again needs to match what's on your fee app, it's going to ask you to certify that the policies have been met, right? What you're certifying is that you are working in a case where IDS or the chief public defender requested that you take that case, and it is a county where you are not on the appointed counsel roster. Basically, if you're on the roster and you're traveling to do work in that county where you're on the roster, it's the same as if it was your home county, except if it's a case-related travel outside the county of appointment. If you're appointed to a county where you're on the roster, but you've got to do a jail visit or interviews with clients or something or witnesses outside of that county, mileage is compensable there. So when you click this button, yes, you're attesting that you've met these requirements. And again, this is only for appointments 2026 and after. If you have a case that's 2025 or before, it's the same old mileage policy that existed before, but you'll go ahead and do this attestation anyway, just to go through here, because that new rule applies only for appointments 2026 and after. So finally, other expenses, if you had to pay out of pocket for flash drives or photo development, whatever, this is where you put your other expenses and you attach your receipts to the fee app. The receipts have to be attached to the fee app. So let's say I've got $10 in other expenses and I've gone 20 miles. The $25 rule still applies. If your total expenses are less than $25, you don't have to provide the receipts. If it's $25 or over, you do, and that includes copies and everything. So here, we might not be required to provide it because I've got $10 and $20 in mileage, which is probably going to be less than 25. So we're done. I've entered all the data that's needed. The last thing here, and this is relatively rare, but it sometimes happens, is did the judge reduce your hours in open court? So I claimed on my fee app, section 1 here, this section where you are entering total time claimed to this fee. I'm claiming 4 hours worked here, and I'm putting those 4 hours here in OASIS. But if in open court, when the case was disposed, I said, Judge, Your Honor, I worked 4 hours, and the judge says, well, I'm only going to allow 3. Then you would say, yes, the judge reduced my hours in open court, and I would say here how many hours the court authorized, 1, 2, 3, instead of 4. On the fee app, that would go here, hours approved by the court, 3. You would still have total time claimed 4, but if the judge only allowed 3, you would put the 3 in hours approved. And then this is where you would do the math, but OASIS does the math for you, right? So that's why you want to do these things together. So fee awarded by the judge, it calculates it for you, $217.50. If you want to know what I need to put in section 1, I would just tell it the 4 hours. That does the math for me. So I'm claiming 282, but the judge only allowed 217.50. So now I know the numbers that I need to put in here. And that's it. I'm done. I have entered everything in OASIS that I need to do. I make sure it matches what's on the fee app, and I'm ready to go. What you want to do is go ahead and file and serve that fee app here in eCourts. And as soon as you do that, just jump back over to this and submit. What I'm doing now is add fee application. I can do multiple fee apps on one invoice. If I've got 10 cases I'm doing all at once, I can just add another fee app. If it's in another county, I can add that county. All in one, I can do as many as I want to do. Just for this display, this example, I'm going to say that I've done, just doing this one. It's giving me my invoice total right here. This last question is attorney or designee. The attorney has the OASIS account. The attorney takes the training. It's their account. But if you have a paralegal, an assistant, an office manager that you designate and allow to do the billing for you, you can give them access to your system. They can do this for you, but the account is yours. You take the training, you get the credentials. They can take the training too, but the account just belongs to the attorney. So you're telling us here, I am the attorney, I'm the one doing this, or nope, I'm the designee, I'm the paralegal or the office administrator. This is the attestation that we talked about before, true and correct, best of my knowledge. I understand about the overpayments and will reimburse if there is an overpayment. But again, if the judge reduced your hours in open court, you follow along with this, there's rarely ever going to be an overpayment. Lastly, this is one more reminder because we don't want you to have to redo this. We don't want that to happen. So we've added this one more reminder. We want you to get paid. This is plain language. Our research director put this in himself. Some folks forget to file and serve their fee app, which leads to a rejection. Did you file and serve all your fee apps for each case invoiced above? If not, here's the link to file and serve. It'll link you right to it. Just make sure to do that. File that fee application and do file and serve here. And this is a final reminder of that. We don't want you to have a payment rejection and have to redo it. So this is like a final reminder. So you're saying either, yes, I remember to serve IDS, or no, I forgot. If you say I forgot, it'll walk you through it. Do this. So we're going to say that I did it. I'm here, I've clicked, I've submitted the file and serve my fee app, so I'm ready to go. Once I hit submit, I am submitting this invoice for payment. I'm done. Before I do this, I can edit if I messed something up, or I can delete it if I already did this one. But once I hit submit, boom, it's sent and it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and submit, and we'll watch what happens. What happens is it's going to give you on your screen a copy of your invoice. All the information is here that you entered. Quick word of warning, stop here. When you see this last line before the word order, this is the amount you invoiced. Everything below here you can ignore. This is something we couldn't get rid of, but it's unit price, but there's a confusing aspect where it says total 65. What that means is that's your hourly rate, or that's the amount if it's a flat fee. It's going to be confusing, so ignore everything below order. Right here, fee awarded. This is your copy of your invoice. Don't worry about doing anything with this because this is going to get emailed to you. You will have a copy of every invoice you've submitted. You'll also have a copy of everything you did file and serve with your fee apps. So I'm going to show you how to use those two things to verify that you did everything correctly, or train your staff to verify. So this is your receipting system. This is how you can prove that you did all the steps and you did everything right. But this is just a copy of it before you leave the site. So I'm done with the site. I'm ready to log out, and I'm done. Now, what I'm going to take us to now is I'm going to get back to our slides. We've just done the demo. So this is a quick reminder slide. Everything that you enter is important, but some things are more important or most important. The holy trinity of important things that have to match between your fee app and your OASIS invoice are the file number. If there's a typo in that file number, our system is going to say there is no matching fee app because the numbers have to match. So it's vitally important that the file number be entered correctly. Really, it's that important because the system's going to look for a match. Second thing that's vitally important is disposition date, or if it's an interim. Interims are more rare, but if it's an interim, then the beginning and ending date are very important because we have, it has to be tracked what's already been billed, what time frame has already been billed. So these things are vitally important: disposition dates, file numbers. Finally, total amount billed. If the total amount on the invoice is not the same as what's on the fee app, then we can't pay it unless, of course, it's de minimis, $1, $2, 50 cents. That's all factored in. That's fine. Anything over $5, that amount needs to match because it's the attestation you're making to the court has to be the same that you're making to IDS for payments. All three of these things match, you're in very good shape. These are the most important points. Now back to that verification demo. How do you know you did it right? You don't want to have anxiety. Well, did I do this right? Am I going to get paid? Here's how you verify that anytime you want to verify it. The clerk is going to, as soon as the clerk accepts your fee app that you file and served, the Tyler system, the eCourt system is going to send you an email record of that. Whenever you submit your invoice into OASIS, you're going to get a copy of that invoice from noreply@idsbilling.org. We want to make sure that email address is safe sender. So you always want to check emails from this account. So I want to check that I file and served correctly and I invoice correctly. How do I do that? I go to my email, and now you should be seeing my email inbox. This is the same email address where you get your codes. You're also going to get your invoice copies. So if you go to your search bar and you type in the file number that you want to check on, this is the sample, and you hit enter, what's going to happen is you're going to see a copy. It's going to match, and it's going to give you a copy of that file number. This is my invoice copy. This is what I submitted to OASIS. Remember, ignore this. But this tells me what I submitted for that case. Then you also have from eCourts your filing accepted. This is your receipt, so to speak, of the eCourts when you file and serve. Look here, if it says e-file and serve, good. That means you e-file and serve, you hit the one in the middle, you're good. We've redacted some of this because it's real. It's going to give you a link through that actual fee app. It's going to tell you the date submitted and the date accepted. You can see the clerk accepted this within like an hour or so. So that's normal. They usually take about a day or less to accept these, but sometimes they take a few days. So we've built that in to make sure there's no false negatives on this. But if you have these, you have the proof that you did your steps right, and you're going to get paid within 30 days if there's no other problem like a mismatch amount or something like that. This is important. You want to be able to do this. This gives you proof. You never had this before. You handed your fee app into the judge. You crossed your fingers. You hoped that it came through the post office or whatever. Now you can verify it yourself. All the power's in your hands. And this is how you check to make sure that you did the steps right. Only fatal flaw that could happen here is if this file number has a typo, you won't get the hit for that file number. That'll tell you maybe what might have gone wrong. Or if OASIS at NC Courts, that email address, if there's a typo in that, that'll be a problem too, but that'll help you diagnose any problems. That doesn't happen often, but those are some of the problems we've seen over time. So that's it. That is how you verify that you did all the steps. Once you get going with it, it is much faster than what it seems like now because I'm explaining it as I go, but that's it. So we've got our demo. The last thing in the process is if there's an issue, you will get an email to that same email account that you used to set up your OASIS account, and it will tell you if there's a problem. It'll tell you what the problem is, like we didn't get served a fee app, or the amounts don't match, or the receipts were missing from the fee app, or the case has already been paid. Whatever the problem is, it'll tell you what that problem is, and it'll tell you how to re-request payment to fix that problem. If the case has already been paid and you think that's false, give our AP staff a call. We've got their contacts built in. Shannon is the right contact for that, or Aaron, they're our AP managers. They can verify payments. But basically, if there's anything that needs to be corrected, this email will tell you exactly how to do it. Just read the email. It's all right there. It also gives you a link to that training video again. It tells you the timestamp to look for the file and serve if needed. So this rejection system, It's a pain, but it's not the end of the world because you can resubmit, and it tells you exactly how to do it. If you have to resubmit, you want to put a note on the FIAP to the clerk that says resubmitting for IDS only. No further action needed by the clerk, because you don't want the clerk to send that to the judge a second time. It's already gone to the judge. It just didn't come to us. So it tells you that right here. That's what this note is. So you are in business with that. We have covered all the basics of OASIS, what to do. And again, all these instructions are going to be emailed to you. There's training videos. We want to make sure you're successful, so we wanted to go over this in detail. This last slide, this just explains why FIAPs are still required. Ideally, if we had a perfect world, you would just enter that data into OASIS and that would be it. It would be one step, one stop. But when eCourts rolled out, the process was that these FIAPs have to go to the judges still, and instead of turning it into data, it was turned into upload a FIAP, use that form and upload it. So that's still the process that is required, and OASIS is like a sidecar next to the motorcycle that allows you to get paid without having to wait on the clerk, the court, the task queue system. Errors made in the task queue system no longer keep you from getting paid. It's a better system, but it is a little more work on your end. We understand that. We know that's a pain, but the benefits outweigh the costs, as we've been told by the attorneys in the prior rollouts. This explains, again, the OASIS invoice must match the FIAP because the application for payment of attorney's fees is that FIAP. The invoice just matches that. The court order for payment, this just says the judges are still the ones approving the amounts and authorizing the payment. So their signature on that FIAP is still required, but we're paying you before that happens in most cases. So if there's a reduction, the judge notifies us and we will come to you for the overpayment if there is any. It's rare, but we had to build that mechanism in. Lastly, the reason FIAPs are still required is there's still a statutory requirement, 105A, for recoupment, or the requirement in some cases, if the court orders it, for the client, if convicted, to repay the state the attorney fees. So that happens via the FIAP as well. So all of those are the reasons why the FIAPs are still required, and why it's a two-act system instead of a one-act system. Okay, so what's going to happen next is the email is going to go out. It's going to have those guides. It's going to have a link to the full training video. And most importantly, it's going to have a link. It's through SurveyMonkey, where it's a training video that's about 20 minutes. You'll answer some questions as you go to show that you know how to do this system. And once you complete that training, again, you need about 20 to 30 minutes. You'll get a score of 80. If you get a score of 80 or above, what happens is we will send you your registration and build your account for you. That process takes about 1 business day. Again, a reminder that admins can take the training. We encourage it if you have admins or paralegals, but they won't have an account. Only you will have an account, and you need to take that training too. That's really important. This is your account. You can give your admins access to it, but it's your account, your email address. And you might ask, well, what? It's burdensome for the two-factor authentications to come to my email. I've got my admin doing this work for me. You can configure a rule in your email as the attorney to forward all emails from noreply@idsbilling.org straight to your paralegal or whoever's doing the billing for you. We recommend that. It's efficient, it's fast, and basically they will be copied on the two factors to log in. They'll be copied on the invoice copies. They'll be able to do all that research for you to make sure everything went smoothly, or research it if something didn't go smoothly. So you'll take the training, you'll set up the account. Admins can take the training too, but there's only one account. That account belongs to the attorney. And they can share that access with the admins and have them assist with the billing. The account creation, this just shows you what it looks like when you get your account. You'll get an email directly from me. It's going to have these PDFs. We showed you 2 of them before. These are the guides you can save on your desktop or print them out if you're into that. This is the guides to how to do everything. Congratulations. It says the next step is you'll get the login credential emails from No Reply at IDS Billing. Make sure to check your spam folder to make sure it doesn't get spam filtered, because that is your login and your password where you'll set up your account. Again, this takes about 1 business day. If you do your training before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We will download it around 2 or 3 o'clock that day. We'll have you set up at least by the next business day, if not the same day. You'll have that welcome email from me. This just tells you that the email is going to be coming from no reply, and to make sure to check your junk folder. If you see this email from me, check your junk folder if you don't have an email within an hour or so from no reply at IDS Billing, because we do this all at the same time, same steps. So finally, we looked at this briefly before, but it's worth looking at really quickly again. We have a ton of resources on our main website, ncids.org. This is our main page. This is the policy changes we talked about a little bit here, links to those policies. But if you scroll down a little, you've got an OASIS button that takes you to all the knowledge you need about OASIS. This is also worth looking at. If you have a case that's been expunged and you haven't filed your FIAP yet, the expunctions happen at basically 6 months. The clerks get rid of the file if there was a not guilty or a dismissal. You have a year to file your FIAP for cases before 2026. So if you have a case that you can't file because it's expunged, click here. This tells you what to do and how to get paid on those expunged cases. That will go by the wayside in 2026 and 2027 because the FIAP deadline is going from a year to 3 months, and 3 months is within that expunction time frame. So we'll see less of that going forward. The reason for that rule change wasn't the expunctions. That's just a side thing of it. The reason for the change was budgeting. We're paying faster. And we need to be able to know exactly. We've got a budget person that looks at this budget every single day and works closely with our CFO to make sure that there's money there to pay you, and to be able to control that budgeting. That's the reason for that 90-day cycle on the FIAPs instead of a year. It's vital to be able to make sure that we still have funds to pay you. But anyway, you click this OASIS button. If you're new or your colleagues missed the training, they can click this I need OASIS credentials button. We will get them what they need. They just tell us who they are and give us their email. This is the FAQ. There is any question you have or that's ever been asked is here. Info for clerks and judges. This is that verification process we looked at today. So it lives here. You can click it anytime. Step-by-step guides are here. Here's that thing about email configuring. If your admins are helping you, everything you could possibly want to know is here, and it's on our main webpage. And this is a quote wall, things attorneys have said about using the system once they get started. This is our map. Today we are in all 100 counties, and we'll be updating that website. That's everything.